Hey there everybody, welcome to another edition of Mii Weekly, this time for May 14th, 2021. I'm Hero TJ, coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan, which actually experienced a somewhat major power outage yesterday. A power plant went out and everyone in my area was without power for quite a while. My family lives on the 12th floor, so we did have to run up and down a few times. I'm super impressed by my 4-year-old's powerful little legs, not a word of complaint, and my ability to actually assemble this episode was in question for a little while there, but due to the tireless efforts of all parties involved, the power has been restored. Yes! Haha! I'm here with you now. We're back in business. Good job, everybody. Good job to you, Team Taiwan. Now, let's get on with the episode. Let's start off by spotlighting a new game releasing today. Well, not really a new game, actually a really old game, a 30-year-old game. Two 30-year-old games. The Famicom Detective Club duology releases for Nintendo Switch today. The first title in the series originally released in 1988 for the Famicom Disk System, and this game is self-described by Nintendo as a deep cut. The remake features new graphics, music, and the addition of voice dialogue in Japanese, and available with English text for the first time ever. The work that went into these remakes appear to be quite extensive. I imagine it will probably do pretty well in Japan, but I'm really curious to see how well it fares in the Western world. These gamified visual novels really don't do it for me. A little bit of TJ trivia, reading actually puts me to sleep. Both games in the duology, Famicom Detective Club The Missing Heir and Famicom Detective Club The Girl Who Stands Behind, are each sold separately for $34.99 and available to purchase from the Nintendo eShop right now. So if playing detective and cracking mysteries is your thing, and you don't mind a lot of reading, it looks like, maybe these games will be up your alley. Also releasing today, Season 4 of the Netflix original series, Castlevania. This animated take on the Castlevania series first debuted with Season 1 in 2017. It's loosely based on the third game in the series, Castlevania 3 Dracula's Curse, for the original NES. I have to say, I adore this series. I think it is fantastic. The storytelling is amazing, the acting is amazing, the animation really stands out, the fight choreography is brilliant, but it is definitely intended for mature audiences. The violence is brutally graphic. There are curses up the wazoo, and I don't mean just like Dracula's curse, I mean like swear words, and plenty of them. So perhaps not the best for younger viewers, or those sensitive to blood and guts, but I have every intention of watching each episode in rapid succession tonight, and then eagerly anticipating whatever comes next. As you know, Nintendo recently revealed a new color for the Nintendo Switch Lite family of consoles, scheduled to release on May 21st, the same day as Miitopia. And since then, social media has somewhat been set ablaze, with people debating whether or not Nintendo correctly identified the color as blue. I don't want to exactly get into that right here at this moment, but all this to say, on a color comparison edition of the Nintendo Minute, a new as-before unseen render of Waluigi was revealed, which left many people wondering, why? Some speculated that it could perhaps be connected to his upcoming appearance in Mario Golf Super Rush. However, the Nintendo UK Twitter account revealed an image of Waluigi with Wario, all gussied up in their golfing best, which makes a link to this new Waluigi art unlikely. Others have suggested that maybe it has something to do with Super Smash Bros. I think that's a little far-reaching, but one thing's for certain, it is sufficiently weird, it is certainly on brand. I mean, what is he doing with his tongue? Anyway, like anything Waluigi related, we're all left to wonder. And the final headline for the week, Nintendo dropped 3 new 30-second Miitopia trailers in anticipation of the game's May 21st release date. Now, confession time. This entire past week, I have been compulsively scouring access codes and coming up with no shortage of unbelievably amazing Mii masterpieces. And I just have to share a few of them with you right now. Anyone who might be familiar with my Custom Conquest series knows that I am a huge fan of the Koopalings. When I discovered this collection of Koopaling Miis, I got so weak in the knees I literally had to sit down. I just have to show these to you. Check this out. We got Larry, Morton, Wendy, Iggy, Lemmy, Roy, and Ludwig. And let's even throw in a couple different Bowser Jr. for good measure. These are absolutely phenomenal. I am both shocked at the artistic vision required to be able to assemble these using the tools that Nintendo gave us in the Mii Maker, and also shocked that Nintendo gave us these tools in the Mii Maker. All right, I could do this all day long, but let me just show you 3 more. Check out everyone's favorite Triforce trio. Here we got Link, Princess Zelda, and of course the Demon King himself, Ganondorf. It took 100 separate assets to be able to put this piece of art together. Some people are really pushing this Mii maker to the limits. And I also want to say, as I mentioned last week, Miitopia Access Keys are a completely open exchange. So if you have somebody's access key, you have the ability to not only download Miis that they themselves have created, but also any that they've downloaded from others without any ability to distinguish one from the other. So I don't actually know if the access key through which I acquired these particular Miis is the original artist. But whoever you are a Mii making master. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for making these available so that I can fulfill my childhood dream of going out and adventuring with my favorite Nintendo heroes and villains. If you happen to be the artist responsible for these Koopalings or this Legend of Zelda trio, please let me know in the comment section so that I can appropriately thank you and credit you. If you want to add any of these to your collection, you can obviously do that through my access code, which you can see on the screen, and I'll also make available in the description. Now playing! Nintendo dropped a trailer for a new release on Nintendo Switch called Lost Words Beyond the Page. I didn't think much of it at first, but the more I watched it, the more I realized that this is a game that would really appeal to my daughter. So I picked it up. As is often the case, my kids tend to ask me for help with games, and so that I could get a little bit of a jump on it, I wanted to play at least through the beginning portion of the game so that I can get her started. I checked online to get an estimation of the completion time, and the game clocks in at about 4.5 hours, which I would say is consistent with my experience. There's really a lot to like about this game. The narrative structure is extremely innovative. Your interaction with the text is often very deep. The storyline is quite heavy, and I think that could be a positive or negative depending on what kind of experience you're looking for. The game is fully voiced, and while there are a number of speaking characters, the vast majority of it is done by a single actress in a stellar virtuoso performance. She basically narrates the entire game. Without giving anything away, the game is divided into two basic sections. The first part being this little girl journaling the events of her life, and the second part is playing out this fantasy story that she's writing. At first, the pacing is really good, but after having completed the game, I would say pacing might be my biggest criticism. It started off on a really high note, and at least for me, faltered a little bit near the end. There were a few junctures where I had to make decisions that I know affected the story. Because I did only play through it once, I don't know how dramatically the story is impacted by the choices that I made, but as we got into the back half of the game, things became a little bit less literal, a little bit more cerebral and metaphysical. The game required a little bit less action and demanded a little bit more of my attention, which generally isn't a great combination, but overall my takeaway is that this game was definitely worth playing. My daughter is really invested in it. She made a number of different choices than I did, so I'm curious to see how much that impacts the overall story. Welcome to the Art Gallery, where I get to feature your artwork right here on Mii Weekly. All of today's submissions come from GlamGamesSSB, and Glam sent me enough art for an entire exhibit. Check this out. We've got Pixel Hero TJ and Pixel Dark TJ. We've got this cool versus screen, a nice looking Chibi Hero TJ and Dark TJ. Get a load of this awesome art right here. I told you there was quite a bit. And then finally some good looking mug shots of Hero TJ, Dark TJ, and also my good friends and Nintendo Wire colleagues, Happily Candied and Amiibo Jason. I appreciate the art, I applaud the talent, and my thanks go out to GlamGamesSSB. Glam did also indicate that some of her work is derivative and wanted to be sure the other artists were appropriately credited, so she provided me with the corresponding links. You can find those listed in the comment section below. If you have any Nintendo themed artwork that you'd like to see featured on the show, tag me on Twitter at CustomConquest with the hashtag MiiWeekly, or you can send them to me directly, customconquest@gmail.com. Now for this episode's Spirit of the Week. This one comes courtesy of Jonny Largent. We're looking at number 1138, Ayumi Tachibana of the Famicom Detective Club series. Her first appearance is The Missing Heir, and the render you're looking at is from the original release of Detective Club Part 2, The Girl Who Stands Behind. Ayumi is the assistant to the protagonist of the games, being you, the player, and according to the official Famicom Detective Club website, Ayumi works with you at the Utsugi Detective Agency to solve a shocking murder case. She's skilled in Naginata combat, bet you wouldn't have guessed that, and she enjoys heavy metal music. Also, long walks on the beach. Actually, I added that last part, that's not true. As a support spirit, Ayumi stuns the enemy to allow for improved escape. Thanks to Jonny for the suggestion. If there's a particular spirit you'd like to see featured as the Spirit of the Week, leave your suggestion in the comment section below, and if yours is selected, you'll be recognized in the episode with an on-screen credit, just like Jonny. Now it's time to sound off. Earlier in this episode, I referenced the Nintendo Minute video where the hosts compared colors to try to determine definitively if the color of the newest Nintendo Switch Lite is in fact blue. The box does actually say blue. I can say for myself, perhaps the power of suggestion is strong enough for me to accept that it is in fact blue. And by that very same token, I wonder if Nintendo had called it purple, but yet it was the exact same shade, if I would just as easily accept it as purple. I can't really be too sure about that. I think it's easy to say that it's not the bluest of the blue, but it's also not GameCube purple either. So it has a little bit more red in it than a pure blue, I suppose. But if I were pressed to pick whether or not it were blue or purple, I guess my take would be that it is more blue than it is purple. But that's just my take on it. I want to hear your opinion. Let me know in the comments section below, what color is the newest Nintendo Switch Lite? Blue or purple? Maybe I'll count up all the responses and reveal the results in next week's edition. That does it for this episode of Mii Weekly. Thank you for joining me. I sincerely hope you join me again next time. Until then, this is Hero TJ signing out. Thanks for playing.